UKBJ, a name not many outside of Canada have heard, yet for those who live there, it's more than just a name. It's a sanctuary, a quiet, cozy coastal town nestled along Canada's serene waters with a tight-knit population of fewer than 20,000 people. A place where people leave their doors unlocked, where neighbors know each other by name, and where life moves just a little slower. It's the kind of place where people move to start families, escape the chaos of urban sprawl, and breathe clean, ocean-kissed air. But even the safest towns have secrets. It was December 25, 2017. The streets of UKBJ were blanketed in snow. Twinkling lights flickered through frosted windows, casting warm glows over Christmas trees and lovingly wrapped presents. Families gathered around fireplaces, sipping cocoa, exchanging laughter and gifts. But just as the town was wrapped in its most joyful night of the year, something unimaginable was unfolding behind closed doors. The perfect beginning. Sarah was, by all accounts, the kind of person you couldn't help but admire. Ambitious, smart, and spirited. She had built a life through hard work and determination. After graduating from the University of Victoria, she returned home to UKBJ to give back to the community she loved. She took up a job with the local ferry service, a vital lifeline that connected the mainland with nearby islands, transporting people, goods, and the very lifeblood of the region. Before that, Sarah had dabbled in public relations. She was a natural communicator, lighting up every room she walked into with her enthusiasm and kindness. It didn't take long before her peers and supervisors recognized her talent. She was going places, but she chose to stay grounded in UKBJ for one reason: love. That reason was Andrew. The two met in their mid-20s. Sparks flew instantly. Those around them described their relationship as a whirlwind romance. Late-night beach walks, shared dreams, and promises of forever. Within a couple of years, they married. In 2013, they welcomed their first child, a bright-eyed girl named Chloe. And in 2015, their second daughter, Aubrey, was born. From the outside looking in, Sarah and Andrew were the dream couple. A beautiful young family in a beautiful town. But inside their home, a storm was beginning to brew. Cracks in the foundation. In the early years, Andrew was charming, attentive, and loving. But once the honeymoon phase passed and real-life responsibilities crept in, work, bills, parenting, stress, the facade began to crack. Raising two young children is hard for any couple. Sleepless nights, financial pressures, the overwhelming demands of parenting, it can test even the strongest relationships. For Sarah and Andrew, these challenges didn't bring them closer. Instead, they pulled them apart. Andrew began to change. He grew irritable. The smallest inconveniences would set him off. A misplaced toy, a cold dinner, a toddler tantrum. Where there should have been patience and love, there was now frustration, shouting, and silence. Sarah, who had once seen Andrew as her protector and partner, now found herself walking on eggshells inside her own home. Then came the accident. Sarah's father, a pillar in her life, died suddenly in a car crash. He had always been her emotional anchor, and interestingly, he had also acted as a sort of buffer in Sarah and Andrew's relationship. Andrew had respected him. With his passing, something inside Andrew unhinged. Friends close to the family noticed the change. Andrew's anger became more explosive. He wasn't physically violent yet, but his words stung like knives. Verbal abuse, constant criticism, emotional distance. He'd lash out, then apologize. A cycle that repeated itself over and over. Sarah, ever hopeful, believed he would change, that things would go back to how they once were, but they didn't. A dangerous pattern emerges. By 2017, things had spiraled further. Sarah, despite juggling work and raising two young children, tried everything she could to keep her family together. Marriage counseling, family events, quiet talks after the girls had gone to bed. But Andrew's behavior only worsened. He was paranoid, controlling, and obsessed with the idea that Sarah might leave him. He would often check her phone, monitor her movements, and interrogate her over the most trivial things. And yet, in public, he remained the same smiling, polite man the town had always known. It was a textbook case of emotional manipulation, abuse that hides in plain sight. Sarah confided in her closest friend that she was considering separation, that she was afraid, but she didn't want to uproot her daughter's lives. Not at Christmas, not yet, but deep down, she knew something was dangerously wrong. Christmas tragedy, December 25th, Christmas Day. The snow was still falling gently, and from the outside, the house looked like something out of a holiday postcard. But inside, chaos was brewing. The details of what happened that day remain partially sealed in court records. But what is known is this: a 911 call was placed around 6:47 p.m. A neighbor reported loud screaming, followed by silence. Police arrived within minutes. What they found was harrowing. Sarah was discovered unconscious and critically injured inside the home. Chloe and Aubrey were reportedly found huddled in a bedroom, terrified. Andrew was arrested at the scene. Paramedics rushed Sarah to the hospital, but the damage had been done. She succumbed to her injuries later that night. A community that had been celebrating just hours before was now plunged into mourning. The investigation authorities quickly determined that this wasn't a robbery or an accident. The evidence pointed to a single conclusion: domestic violence turned fatal. The town of Oak, BJ was shaken to its core. Candlelight vigils were held. News outlets from across the country descended on the small town. Social media flooded with messages of grief, disbelief, and rage. The prosecution painted a chilling picture of Andrew's descent. They brought forward messages, witness testimonies, and psychological evaluations. It was clear that Sarah had been suffering in silence for years, that she had tried again and again to hold things together, for her kids, for her marriage. But in the end, she paid the ultimate price. Andrew's defense claimed mental instability, stress, and grief. But it wasn't enough. In court, the judge didn't mince words. You had every opportunity to get help, every opportunity to walk away. Instead, you chose violence. You destroyed a life, shattered a family, and left 2 young children without their mother. Andrew was sentenced to life in prison. The aftermath: Chloe and Aubrey, just 4 and 6 years old at the time, were placed in the custody of Sarah's sister. A GoFundMe campaign raised over $200,000 for their future. The community, though broken, rallied behind the girls. Sarah's story became a symbol, not just of tragedy, but of the silent epidemic of domestic abuse, one that often goes unnoticed until it's too late. Her face appeared in PSAs, her story told in schools. Her legacy used to educate others about the warning signs of emotional and verbal abuse. Because abuse isn't always a bruise. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's control. Sometimes it's what hides behind smiling photos and well-decorated homes. Let this be a wake-up call. Sarah was not weak. She was strong. She was intelligent. She was loved. And still, she became a victim. If her story teaches us anything, it's that anyone can be caught in the web of a toxic relationship. That love, even genuine love, is not a reason to stay in danger. That no amount of hope or patience can change someone who refuses to change themselves. To this day, on every December 25th, the town of Oak, BJ holds a moment of silence for Sarah. They light candles on her porch, place flowers by her ferry office, and remember the woman who gave so much but received so little in return. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic abuse, please don't wait. Speak up. Get help. There are resources. There are people who care. Silence is not protection. It's a prison. Sarah's story is not just a tragedy. It's a call to action. Let's answer it.